They say wise men speak because they have something to say.
Yeah, they also say fools speak because they have to say something.
Well,
here we are.
Yeah, you bit that one.
Well.
Relax. Yeah, welcome back to The Gambler and the Guardian. We're back for another episode. I'm Nathan, also known as the Guardian. The Guardian, that's me, right? This is my brother.
I'm Anthony, also known as the Gambler.
Yep, we want to thank you guys for coming and sitting with us again today in our room, having this open dialogue with us. We got some really interesting topics to talk about today. Anthony, I don't know if you want to give it a start here.
Yeah, so I'm sure everybody's seen the news, seen viral clips, all talking about the United Healthcare CEO was unalived, and showing that this dude, he was the perpetrator. And so we want to play a little clip talking about it, and then we'll have some insight and kind of our thoughts on it. So this was back when they were searching for him.
Yeah, obviously he's since been apprehended.
Take the time to actually write on the shell casings indicates not only premeditation, but also a deeply personal type killing. And those words, deny, depose, defend, those are words often associated with the insurance industry.
Yep, that's real.
This does not appear to be a random act of violence. It appears the suspect was lying in wait for several minutes.
Yep, lots of threats. This is just bringing you up to speed on all the information that's out there.
Yeah, we're sure mostly everybody kind of knows what's going on, but for those who don't, we just want to, like he said, bring you up to speed real quick. There's so much within this. One of the things that stuck out to me was that the writing on the bullets, right? With doing something like that, I don't know, maybe I see something between the lines. I don't know, but it looks to me that when that message that's a message, right? Like, that's like, he already kind of had being caught on his mind, I think, when doing something like this. I don't think somebody would do something like this and think they weren't going to get caught. I think the message was his deal, right?
Yeah, so for me, I definitely think he plans to be a catalyst to something bigger. He says, the message that he wrote on there was deny, defend, depose. And that's a clear message that he's targeting the words of the insurance company and how they go through and look at insurance claims.
Well, let me ask you something. You actually worked in the insurance industry for a substantial amount of time. You're quite knowledgeable of the insurance industry. Can you shed a little bit of light on how it works? Other than us paying an insurance company to help us to get medical care from a doctor, right? Mm-hmm. How does that system work?
Yeah, so what I would say first is this is a very complicated system. It's huge. Lots of people, lots of big companies are a part of the insurance industry. For me, I was a salesperson. I was an agency owner. I worked for one of the largest individual medical insurance producers in the country. I was recruited, and then I started opening up agencies. At one point, I had about 200 agents working underneath me.
Wow.
We did upwards of 10,000 policies. Our role was selling literally health insurance, and one of our main carriers was United Healthcare.
Whoa, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah. One of the main carriers was United Healthcare.
That's
right?
crazy.
There was many carriers. I was a broker, is what it's called. So just like a mortgage broker, you have multiple banks that you go to sell their loans. I was an insurance broker, so I had multiple insurance carriers that we'd use to sell their policies, whichever policy match the fit of our potential client, right? And all these policies are different. And so we had to go through and see the needs of the client and then determine which one best suits them, and then also the price of that policy. I was in the insurance industry prior to Obamacare. In fact, when Obamacare came about, I got out of the insurance industry and wrote my book and got into the real estate industry. It just changed the industry so much, and also I had some different things that happened that kind of made me, like, my stomach hurt and didn't feel that this was the right industry.
Like what?
Yeah, so this actually relates to this topic quite a bit.
Tell me more.
Yeah, so I got this client, and he was a local business owner in the community. I operated my insurance agency out of Apollo Beach, Florida. It's just south of Tampa. And this gentleman, I don't want to say his name, but he was a funeral home director and owner. So he owned a funeral home. And he and his family had owned it for somewhat like 40 years. And kind of a pillar in the community. I met him through networking events and the Chamber of Commerce.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You know, so...
Official guy.
Yeah, official guy. I mean, this guy was awesome. I took a liking to him. He also was supportive of me getting started in a new community and launching my business, you know? And so he asked, hey, can you see if you could help me with my insurance? And I remember one of the things you do when you're supporting a new client in the insurance industry is first you look to see what they currently have. Because there's an aspect of insurance where if you have a policy that is really good,
If it makes sense, if it ain't broke.
and you're locked in,
Right.
and you, let's say you got a pre-existing condition at that time, a pre-existing condition would,
Make it more difficult for you to get something new.
yes. And in fact, what they do is they put what's called a rider on it. So let's say, for instance, you had a knee injury and you had to get surgery like you've had, right? And then you went to get a new policy. They'd say, we'll cover you, but we're not covering your right knee because you had an injury to that right knee and we're not taking on that liability, right? So in going through there's a process that's called underwriting. Just like the mortgage industry where you go through and you see someone's credit worthiness, their income, their stuff like that. This is where the underwriters of medical insurance companies go through and look at the insurability of the potential client, meaning they look at all your health records to see what has happened in the past that might potentially lead to a huge claim coming later that the insurance company, what they're trying to do is limit their exposure, right? So going back to my story, this gentleman, he had a policy and it was, I forget the name of the company, but I remember it was called the Schedule of Benefits Plan. And a Schedule of Benefits Plan is a plan where they say, it's similar to dental insurance, where we'll pay up to $2,000 for this specific thing.
Okay.
We'll pay up to $5,000 on this specific thing. And they just have literally a schedule of what they're willing to pay for specific occurrences. These plans are the worst kind of plans you could get. They limit the potential exposure of the insurance carrier. They are the cheapest plans that you could get for that very reason.
What do you mean they limit the potential exposure to the carrier?
Yeah, because when you have a maximum out of pocket based on this schedule of benefits for a specific occurrence, let's say, for instance, if you have a heart attack, they'll pay up to $50,000. Okay. Well, $50,000 seems like a lot of money until you have a heart attack and you're in intensive care and the total bill comes out to be $250,000.
Yeah.
If you have that schedule of benefits, what they'll do is they'll say, well, we had the deal with you. It's all a contract. This is all paperwork that says we're willing to do X if Y happens, right? Wow. So in that occurrence, the client they'd get $50,000 paid for, but they'd still owe $200,000 in bills. So the situation that happened with this client that I had, I signed him up, a traditional sign up. When we went through all the medical questions, there's a ton of medical questions that you answer. This is pre-Obamacare, so you had to qualify medically in order to get the plan. And then it goes through underwriting where the insurance company, they look at it and they look at their records to see if what they're saying is accurate. Mm-hmm. And if they could see anything that they find to ask questions for or deny them, or even put a rider on a specific part of your body or something that may happen in the future based on what they found. Mm-hmm. In this situation, this client did not get any riders. He was accepted fully. The plan itself was, I believe it was a $2 million max out-of-pocket plan for the insurance company, which is a large maximum, right? I believe the plan had a $5,000 deductible and 100% covered by the insurance company afterwards. Now, compared to a schedule of benefits company, where they have specific occurrences that can have a total out-of-pocket of each occurrence as a certain thing, this was a plan that covered everything, right? So if, for instance, what happened to the client ended up having cancer. And the type of cancer he had, it was very expensive to go through. And it cost $800,000, right? So about a year and a half into the policy, he started going in to get cared for. And the bills started piling up. Well, he has this insurance policy that has a $2 million maximum policy limit, which he has, plenty to go. He only had to pay $5,000 out of pocket to get to 100% covered, right? So year and a half later, after now he's in remission, saved his life, right?
Yeah, doing better.
Yeah, he's doing better. I get summoned to go and take part in a mediation where there is this client there with his attorney. There's the insurance company, which at the time was Assurant Health, is who he took the policy out for. And then it was the attorney given to me for my errors and omissions insurance. Every insurance agent has to get an errors and omissions insurance policy. What this is for, this is, we're just salespeople. These insurance agents that you go to, they're just salespeople. They are knowledgeable in what the insurance policies cover and don't, and their job is support you as a client to determine what your needs are, what is potentially possible that you may need, and then also show you how much the price difference is based on the type of policy you're looking to have in force, right? So now I'm sitting there in this room, and this is the first time that I've had any part in a legal battle at all. It's pretty intimidating. There's, a big conference table. We're all sitting around, multiple attorneys. Here's my client. They told me coming in, I first met with the appointed attorney that was given to me from my insurance errors and omissions, right? And they basically said, you don't say anything. You're kind of here on a formality. I'm like, okay. So I'm watching what's happening, and this client is pleading, well, his attorney and him are pleading with the insurance carrier's attorneys, and there's a couple of them there. And they're saying why the insurance carrier must pay the $800,000. And what ensues is the insurance carrier basically saying, we're not responsible. And then the mediator says to all of us, okay, we're all going to go in our respective rooms. So everybody left that area where we're all sitting around the table together, and we all went into our own little conference rooms. So I'm sitting there with my attorney, and my attorney says, okay, we're just going to wait until we hear what's happening. He gives me an update, and he goes, okay, Assurant Health has offered them $300,000 to settle this. Okay, time goes by. They declined the $300,000. Okay, so I mean, time is just ticking here. It's about an hour in. Okay, Assurant Health has offered them $400,000, but they want you to pay $50,000. And I'm like, bro, what did I have anything to do with this? I just sold the policy.
I'm just an employee.
Well, I'm not an employee.
No?
No, I'm a...
This is when you owned the company?
Yeah, I own my own brokerage.
So essentially you were an affiliate of United Health.
Yes, in this case it was Assurant Health, not United Health. That was the insurance carrier.
Okay,
yeah.
okay, in that case.
Yeah, in this case. But this goes perfectly into place with what Mangione is speaking of relative to claims, right?
Yeah.
So at some point, I am forced with a decision. Have my E&O carrier pay $50,000 towards the $800,000. The insurance carrier, Assurant Health, would pay $500,000, and this will all be settled. And it comes down to a decision on my end, where the client is willing to accept $500,000 from Assurant Health and $50,000 from my insurance, Errors and Omissions insurance, if I say yes. And I'm sitting there talking to this insurance agent, or I'm sorry, not the agent, the lawyer for the Errors and Omissions insurance. And I'm saying, I didn't do anything wrong. I just did exactly what was in the rules. I asked all the questions properly. They're just trying to deny this claim, but it seems like the claim is viable. Why should anything come out of my end, and how negatively does this affect me as an agent showing that this happened? And the lawyer assured me this doesn't have any negative things on you. Maybe we should have a call with the higher-ups in the Errors and Omissions insurance company that I work
it
with.
seems to me that you're saying, like, that this is like layers upon layers upon layers.
It is, 100%. So what ends up happening is I get on the call with some higher-up for this Errors and Omissions company. The attorney intros us, says this is the deal that's on hand. This person knew about what we were doing. So he had whatever was in front of him to speak to me about it, and basically told me, he said, Anthony, I understand that you did everything by the book, and we understand that. This won't affect you in a negative way. However, if you choose to say no, us as an Errors and Omissions insurance company could potentially be out $800,000. So we are wanting you to say yes.
But we'll take care of it.
We'll take care of the $50,000.
Wow.
Well, that's why I have the insurance. It's their job to cover this, right?
Yeah.
If I get sued, it's on them, right? So for them, because of the risk was 16 times higher, if I said no, they said, we want you to say yes. And I was basically forced to say, yes, pay this guy, even though I did no wrongdoing. It had nothing to do with me. I was forced to take the deal. So in the end, the client was not made whole. He got $550,000 instead of the $800,000.
Well, in many cases, you know, and that's like a good outcome, right?
That's a good outcome.
Like in many cases, right?
Yeah.
Because, you know, there's many times where, you know, there's all types of different types of legal proceedings in which people cannot afford representation. And then, you know, like you're in a bad medical situation, you get screwed over by an insurance company, you have no money for legal representation. It's like your butt is just out in the wind at that point. You know what I mean? And that seems like, it seems to be the crux of this matter with this kid.
Yeah, this is at the base of what he's saying. And when we get to his manifesto, we'll be able to speak more about this.
Before we do get to his manifesto, though, like in the report, they had said that he was there a few minutes prior to the crime. So that indicates to me that either there's some type of witnesses that saw him there, or there's some type of CCTV footage, right? We know that there's CCTV footage.
Yeah, we've all seen that.
But they also said that maybe this is just me being me, but they said that the kid, that they had his fingerprints at the scene of the crime, which struck me to be as odd because
he was wearing gloves.
he was wearing gloves when he committed the crime. I mean, you know, who knows? He was there for a few minutes. He could have been there and then all of a sudden just been like, got ready. But like this is not that kind of crime. It seems to be, especially with this kid. This kid seems to be
very smart.
Well, not just smart, very well thought out, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like in his
Very
crime.
precision. He literally had a silencer on his gun.
Yeah. So it looks that I'm a little skeptical of the reports that are coming back as of right now. We're not really going to know what's going on with this situation, or at least what we'll be told is going on with this situation until he goes to court, because this one stinks, man.
Yeah.
This one stinks. It doesn't smell right. I don't know. Even his manifesto is just, you know, there's some strange things in it as well.
You know, let's play the second clip that we have of when he arrives at court.
Excuse me.
And completely out of touch and insult the intelligence of the American people.
One more time.
Completely out of touch and insult the intelligence of the American people.
It's an insult to the intelligence of the American people.
And its living experience. So basically he's saying, like, look, we already know what's going on. We're going through it every day.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are like, you know, we know what's going on. Like, there's a lot of this, you know, a lot of different subjects right now that things are happening that is bringing an awakening to the people. And, you know, I think it's great. I think it's absolutely great that it's happening. You know, it's great for the growth of society as a whole, but it brings me concern.
Yeah, so for me, I believe in truth. I believe in your word, right? And what I'm seeing is happening is there's some people who are standing up against companies, people, platforms that you can't stand up against because they will shut you down.
Without naming any specific event, but I recall prior to the last election of former president, now President-elect Donald Trump, there seemed to have been an awakening of the people all around the world. People were taking to the streets for all types of reasons, man, and standing up for their rights. Like in France, that's when they like went crazy in the streets. Thousands and thousands of people were out there with those yellow vests on. And again, my concern is that these times occur, and there's some people up high, man, that don't like awakening of people. And my concern is that there's going to be another event similar to, if not something like the one that occurred in that time period, that, you know, will just take us more time. Just send us around and take us more time to get somewhere, you know, just more delay on our development as a culture, as a whole, as a people as a whole, and all of these things. But
yeah, you know, what I'd like to get to, I'd like to start reading Luigi Mangione's manifesto.
Please.
Okay? And many of you may have seen his pieces of his manifesto that shows up in different news briefings or Instagram videos and all this. But what we want to do, today's episode is proudly sponsored by Zenergy, an exquisite energy supplement designed to nourish both body and mind. Zenergy combines the tranquil, stress-relieving benefits of kava with the focused, energizing properties of kratom extract. This refined fusion provides a smooth, sustained energy that calms the mind while sharpening your focus. Zenergy offers an unparalleled experience of clarity and poise. Go to drinkzenergy.com, drinkxnergy.com. We want to read exactly, word for word, what it says in his manifesto.
Non-selectively.
Okay? So, he says, it's easy to quickly and thoughtlessly write this off as the manifesto of a lunatic in order to avoid facing some uncomfortable problems it identifies. But it's simply impossible to ignore how prescient many of his predictions about modern society turned out. He was a violent individual, rightfully imprisoned, who maimed innocent people, while these actions tend to be characterized as those of a crazy Luddite. However, they are more accurately seen as those of an extreme political revolutionary. Now, who he's talking about is a paper written by Theodore John Kaczynski, and this is Industrial Society and Its Future.
Ted Kaczynski.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Ted Kaczynski, isn't that the Unabomber?
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
So that's who he's talking about when he says that first paragraph, right?
I just caught that. That's crazy.
Yeah, he's talking about the Unabomber. So a take I found online that I think is interesting had the balls to recognize that peaceful protest has gotten us absolutely nowhere. And at the end of the day, he's probably right. Oil barons hasn't listened to any environmentalists, but they feared him. When all other forms of communication fail, violence is necessary to survive. You may not like his methods, but to see things from his perspective is not terrorism, it's war and revolution. Fossil fuel companies actively suppress anything that stands in their way, and within a generation or two, it will begin costing human lives by greater and greater magnitudes until the Earth is just a flaming ball orbiting third from the sun. Peaceful protest is outright ignored. Economic protest isn't possible in the current system, so how long until we recognize that violence against those who lead us to such destruction is justified as self-defense? Whoa. So he's basically saying that peaceful protests like Gandhi did, right, doesn't work anymore. If you want to use economic protest by not putting your dollars there, he's saying that it's not capable of working to the level. It's not enough. And he's saying the only way to spark change is through violence. He says these companies don't care about you or your kids or your grandkids. They have zero qualms about burning down the planet for a buck. So why should we have any qualms about burning them down to survive? He says, we're animals just like everything else on this planet, except we've forgotten the law of the jungle and bend over for our overlords when any other animal would recognize the threat and fight to the death for their survival. He quoted, "Violence never solved anything" is a statement uttered by cowards and predators. So that's his manifesto.
Look, man. I'm going to say this. Got to be careful with this, what I'm about to say right now.
Yeah, you seem all bottled up here, man.
Yeah, because I don't believe his views to be so extreme. If you look at the history of the United States, even if we're even looking at like, we're not even talking about this type of stuff, right? We're talking about, which this is, I guess. Medical care is a basic human right.
Yeah.
Okay? Medical care is a basic human right. It's not in history, only in the United States in history, when people take to the streets with violence, does good change come about. The civil rights movement being one of those things, of which it was a shared model. Some was violent, some was peaceful, but that's how America is. Unfortunately,
it's not just America, Nate.
Yeah, everywhere, right? Violent revolution.
Everywhere. There, when a tyrannical government got too strong, people stood up against it, right? When a leader was off base.
I don't even know if that's, dude, I'm going to be honest with you. At this stage in the game, like, I feel like there's so much involvement of our government in coups in other countries and stuff. Like I don't even know when the people are really rising up against a tyrant. Like, I don't really, like, it's hard to decipher what the truth is about what's going on in the other country, because, our media is politicized and weaponized and being used to propagandize us into thinking that this is what's going on over there, so we're okay with whatever occurrence happens that we had some type of influence with.
Yeah, it's really tough for me too, man. For me, there's an aspect of seeing his manifesto, just reading that to our listeners. It was hard to read because, man, I'm anti-violence,
Yeah, I've known you since I was 10 years old. I've never seen you get into an intense argument with somebody, let alone a fight.
Yeah. Well, you haven't seen me around my brother that much.
That's another story.
Shout out to Nick Biaggi.
Shout out Nick Biaggi.
So that being said, as I read this and I think about my involvement in the insurance industry and selling all these policies and talking to clients, the reason that I got out of the insurance industry, because, man, after you have 10,000 clients, guess when they call you? When the insurance company decides to not pay a claim, and they've went through every single way possible to have something be worked out because they're about to lose their house, they're losing everything they have because their life was saved by this procedure that was done, and now financially they're being put through it again, they call you the insurance company or the insurance agent. They've already called the insurance company. They've already dealt with a ton of underwriters. They've already talked to attorneys, and they're calling you the insurance agent to go as the last straw, like, hey, maybe you could do something. So at some stage, it got to where I'm in this industry, I'm making a ton of money because I was pretty good at it. And I was a leader amongst people, right? So I trained people up. A lot of these people are very, very successful to the tune of tens, hundreds of millions of dollars in the insurance industry.
Top 1 percentile.
Yeah, but what I know about the top 1 percentile, it's a lot smaller than you think, man. Yeah. But that being said, for me, my heart could not handle the thought of me making all this money selling these policies, knowing what's going to happen if something really goes wrong and they try to max out that policy at $2 million, the insurance company is going to decline it.
Just a matter of when.
And then they're going to be calling me, and I'm going to have to deal with those feelings. I'm an empath. You know this about me. I love people. I care about people. So hearing that stuff and wanting to help them and then getting the door shut in my face, although I'm trying to help, I was able to help a few get stuff done that they couldn't get done just because I somehow had some kind of pull because I sold so many policies and was connected to the #1 insurance producer in the country, right? So For me, it was too much. I had to get out of that industry because I didn't feel good about it. I was making money. And, if I stayed in that industry right now, money would not be a problem at all. That being said, I couldn't live with myself. Everybody has a different way of sleeping at night. Some people could go steal and rob somebody.
This is as wrong as two left shoes. There's no rationalizing this.
I will say there's other people that are in the insurance industry, and the way that they look at it, they say, the carrier does what the carrier does. I can't control that. But what I've done is get somebody an insurance policy that's the best price and the best coverage that they can afford, right? So I could understand them being able to sleep at night. For them, for me, it was just too much.
I don't encourage what Luigi Mangione did, but what I want to say is sometimes it's necessary for things to happen to bring awareness to certain things, to shed light on them, because this is something that has been stewing and brewing for far too long, and there's far too many people that I've heard over time that have been impacted by this in a negative way. And don't take this the wrong way when I say this, right? Like the word finally somebody did something that is going to bring light.
Yeah, well,
and I will say this real quick. It's my biggest sympathies and condolences to the families of this man who was unalived. At the end of the day, he was a human being.
Yeah, exactly.
But when you get to a certain level in certain industries, and you have the ability to write the book, when you have the ability to set the rules, and you have the ability to say, hey, I'm going to make things more difficult, or I'm going to make things easier for the people.
Yeah.
I think something like this happening hopefully will make people think a little bit more about the type of decisions that they're making and the impacts that they're going to have on the masses.
Yeah, so to just let you know my thoughts on that is, people are people, and companies, they operate for different reasons. United Healthcare, although you'll see their commercials and they're helping people and all this stuff, that shit's all fake. They're in it to make money. It was the most profitable insurance carrier out of all of them. So to the tune of last year, something like $30-something billion. It's all very connected. How they make all their money. They're vertically integrated to the systems that work with the hospitals and all this stuff. They have their doctors' networks that are part of their network, so they could, control who gets to see who. And so this is a really big thing. I for the sake of the podcast, I think we should leave it as it is here. I was just
gonna say that because this guy's situation is just starting for him. It's not over. And we're going to be coming back and revisiting this. And I can tell by the way you're talking about it that there's a lot more, it looks like, that you have to say about this.
Yeah, but this is also a scary thing, this is something where, copycats are being talked about, right? So they're saying, Mangione's put away, but now because this is out there, like you said, he may be the spark of something bigger in a way to show that this is not okay. People are celebrating him.
Yeah, well, there was actually a lady a couple days ago who was arrested because she was on the phone with an insurance company, and she was dissatisfied with the outcome of her phone call, and she said something along the lines of, "You guys are next." Yeah. And they arrested her.
Yeah, I'm sure these things happen more than were known. I mean, just being an insurance agent, I've been cussed at, sworn at, or threatened when I literally all I am is the guy to take your information to put it into the policy that they're offering. That's all I am. But people are that, their lives. It's their lives. When you're in charge of somebody's health, when you're the person that they speak to related to their health and maybe even their life, if you sell life insurance like I did, this is it's something very important to people for good reason.
I think the next move that the government makes in this situation is going to determine a lot. It's going to say a lot, too, about where they stand. Because they can go and make more protections for these types of figures in the insurance industry.
Yep.
And because like you said, they can go and make more protections for these types of figures in the insurance industry.
Yep.
And because like you said, these people get threatened every day, and I'm sure on the phone they were getting threatened every day prior to this happening forever.
Oh, it's happened.
Now,
believe me,
people are making threats and going to jail.
Yeah.
So is this a thing that is going to persist? Is it going to be enhanced? Is this something that they're going to build law around? This is something to keep an eye open for?
Yeah, we're going to keep touching back
because
to this.
That's going to tell us where the government stands in this. Like, we already know. The fact of the matter is they need to install more protections for us, the people, against these vampires, because this is what these people are. They're bloodsuckers, man.
It's all tied together, man. I mean, just to put something very quick on it, and then we can move out, is the same big companies that are the majority ownership in United Healthcare and all these healthcare insurance companies are the same ones that also own the food companies.
Oh, really?
The same ones that own the hospitals, same ones that own the banks, same ones that own every piece. So
why is it not a monopoly when they do stuff like that?
Well, because I don't know, man. This is a bigger subject that we get into down the road. And it's a subject that lots of people have put out there and talked about, putting it out so people would see, but it still doesn't stop, my elders from holding stock in BlackRock or Vanguard or State Street that are the ones that own everything. So because they're looking at it going, I'm good, I'm making a 14% return. I'm happy. Cool. Well, you don't know who you just sold out, right? And so I don't want to get too deep in that. I'm getting fired up. Let's